Have you ever wondered why, despite everything you've tried, manifestation still feels like a mystery just out of reach? They told you to visualize, to affirm, to stay positive no matter what. They made you believe that if you just tried hard enough, said the right words, imagined the right outcomes, repeated the rituals long enough, the universe would reward your effort with the life you desire. But beneath all this effort, something still doesn't click. There's a tension, a dissonance, a quiet knowing inside you that whispers, "This isn't it. There must be something deeper." And that whisper, it's right. Because here's the truth most people overlook. The real secret to quantum manifestation is so subtle, so profoundly simple, that your conditioned mind keeps skipping right over it. It's not hidden in complex techniques. It's not locked in ancient codes or rituals. It's right here, in your body, in your signal, in your state. Think of it like tuning a radio. You could scream your desires into the static, but if your frequency is off by even a hair, all you'll hear is noise. And that's exactly what most of us are doing, broadcasting confusion, fear, and desperation, hoping the universe will somehow understand what we really want. But the universe doesn't respond to confusion. It responds to coherence. As Dr. Joe Dispenza puts it, it's not about what you want. It's about the alignment between your heart and your brain. It's about becoming the emotion of what you seek, not just thinking about it. When your inner world enters resonance, the quantum field begins to organize around you in ways that feel nothing short of miraculous. Still, even knowing this, most people continue chasing the result. They obsess over steps, methods, and outcomes without realizing their signal remains fragmented, conditioned, disconnected from the truth of who they already are. And this is where the journey truly begins. Because in this video, you won't just hear inspiring ideas. You'll understand deeply vibrationally the only secret you actually need to unlock real, lasting quantum manifestation. We'll dive into the invisible force that blocks your flow, the ancient knowledge forgotten by time, the identity shift that changes everything, and the practical steps to reclaim your energetic power now. If this theme calls to something deep inside you, subscribe to the channel and walk with me through this discovery. But do it now. Don't let this moment pass you by, because what you're about to remember changes everything. Next up, we'll uncover the first core truth, the invisible force that's been blocking your manifestation, even when you feel like you're doing everything right. Get ready, because what we're about to explore will rewire how you approach the entire manifestation process from the inside out. There's something strange that happens when you try too hard to manifest. You visualize, you script, you hold the vision of your future self with every ounce of focus. And yet nothing moves, no shifts, no signs, no synchronicities, just silence and frustration. And in that silence, a quiet voice begins to speak. Maybe you're not meant for this. Maybe you're doing it wrong. But what if I told you the very feeling of trying too hard is the exact frequency that's holding everything back? You've been taught that desire is the fuel of manifestation, that wanting something deeply enough would magnetize it into your life, but desire alone doesn't create alignment. In fact, when it comes from a place of lack, it does the opposite. This is the invisible force most people never see, the dissonance between what you say you want and what your energy actually emits. Imagine tuning a violin next to a piano. One note slightly off and the entire harmony breaks. Your body works the same way. You might be affirming love, but vibrating fear. You might be visualizing abundance, but carrying the frequency of scarcity in your nervous system. This is not your fault. This is programming. You've lived a lifetime being taught that effort equals reward, that struggle brings results, but the quantum doesn't respond to effort, it responds to vibration. And vibration is not something you do, it's something you become. Here's the paradox. The more you try to manifest, the more you affirm to the universe that you don't have it yet. Let me explain. When you say, "I want," you're creating a reality where the object of your desire is still separate from you. When you act from desperation, you're telling the field, "I am not whole yet." The frequency of longing is different from the frequency of embodiment. Pause now, take a breath, and ask yourself gently, what is the emotion underneath my desire? Because that emotion is the real command being sent out into the quantum. Not your words, not your vision board. Your state is your signal, and that signal doesn't lie. But what if the most powerful truth was hiding where you never thought to look? What if this invisible block wasn't an enemy to fix, but a mirror to decode? Now we go deeper. We'll explore how the ancient world already understood this secret, and how modern science is just now catching up, from Egyptian temples to quantum mechanics, from spiritual rituals to brain-heart coherence. We're about to connect the dots in a way that changes how you feel your reality from the inside out. Are you ready? Long before quantum physics gave language to energy and vibration, ancient civilizations were already living by these principles, not as theories, but as direct experiences. Inside the temples of Egypt, initiates were trained not just to study spiritual truths, but to vibrationally become them. They weren't chasing outcomes, they were cultivating presence. In the Vedic traditions, entire systems of energy, chakras, nadis, prana, taught that reality bends in response to the internal alignment of the soul. And in indigenous teachings around the world, shamans and mystics have always known, you don't create with effort, you create by becoming the field. You've seen it before, said you just didn't know how to read it. Symbols etched in stone, stories of gods and light bodies, rituals around breath, sound, and stillness. None of it was superstition. It was science in symbolic form, a user's manual for aligning with the invisible. But what makes all of this even more powerful is this. Modern science is finally confirming what the ancient ones already embodied. Dr. Bruce Lipton speaks of beliefs as biological software, not abstract ideas, but programs that live in the body, shaping our cellular expression. When you believe something with enough emotional intensity, it doesn't just sit in your brain. It writes itself into your nervous system, your immune response, your heartbeat. Edgar Cayce, in his trance channelings, echoed this by saying that spirit is the life, mind is the builder, and the physical is the result. In other words, your reality is a printout of your inner frequency. But here's the part we often miss. Vibrational alignment is not something you force. It's something you allow. And coherence, true coherence, happens when the heart and brain enter the same frequency. When thought and emotion walk hand in hand, when wanting and deserving merge into being. So why do we still feel blocked, even knowing all this? Because knowledge is not embodiment. You can understand the concept and still act from fear. You can quote the ancients and still doubt your own power. That's the next layer of truth we need to uncover. Because most people trying to manifest today are unknowingly trapped in an emotional contradiction. They speak the language of light while vibrating the frequency of lack. And that contradiction, it scrambles the signal before it ever reaches the quantum. Let's go even deeper. We'll expose the hidden mistake most manifestors make without realizing. The subtle habits, emotional loops, and unconscious energies that silently disconnect you from the flow you're trying to call in, even when your intentions are pure. You may be surprised by how familiar it feels. But that's the beauty of this moment. Awareness is the first step toward realignment. And if you've come this far, Take a breath and leave one word in the comments that captures what you're feeling right now. Maybe it's clarity, maybe it's remembering, maybe it's resonance. Your word matters. It anchors the frequency in you and echoes it into the collective. There's a moment in every spiritual journey when the seeker becomes exhausted. Not because they've given up, but because they've been doing everything they were told and nothing seems to shift. You journal, you visualize, you meditate with intention. You say the affirmations until your voice runs dry, but deep inside, the frequency hasn't changed. Something feels misaligned, like you're putting on the costume of abundance, but underneath, still carrying the skin of fear. And that's the invisible mistake so many are making without even noticing. They're manifesting from effort, not from omission. When your energy is trying to force reality to bend, it's actually reinforcing the idea that you're separate from what you want. You're reaching, grasping, pushing, subtly affirming lack through your own intensity. Let me give you a more grounded metaphor. Picture someone trying to hold a butterfly in their hands. The tighter they close their fingers, the more they crush the very thing they want to hold. Manifestation is no different. When you approach it with desperation, urgency, or a need to control the outcome, you distort your energetic blueprint. What was once magnetic becomes static. But here's the deeper truth. Wanting isn't always alignment. Sometimes it's resistance, wearing a pretty mask. You want to attract love, but your nervous system still expects abandonment. You want to welcome abundance, but your inner child still believes safety is in scarcity. You want to feel peace, but your body is addicted to the adrenaline of proving your worth. This addiction to control is subtle. It shows up in the need to plan every detail, in the panic when things don't go exactly as imagined, in the fear of surrendering, because surrender feels like giving up. But surrender is not giving up. It's tuning in. Let me explain. The quantum responds not to your plans, but to your presence. When you're fully in your body, grounded in now, feeling as if it's already done, your field speaks louder than any affirmation ever could. And in that moment of embodiment, something powerful happens. You stop chasing and you start radiating. Pause for a moment and really feel this. What if your job isn't to manifest a future, but to remember a frequency you've already held before? You've touched it in flashes. That calm certainty, that peaceful knowing, that second of pure alignment where the world around you feels like it's mirroring something sacred inside. That's the signal we're returning to. Now, let's turn the page, because we'll explore what happens when you make a single subtle shift, one that bypasses the mind, calms the nervous system, and realigns you instantly with the quantum field. You'll see why 10 hours of affirmations can't replace a few seconds of true vibrational coherence, and how to access that space, right here, right now. Sometimes the most profound transformation doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less, but with deeper presence. From stepping out of mental control and into energetic coherence. This is where most people get it wrong. They think manifestation is a game of repetition. Repeat your goals, repeat your visualizations, repeat your affirmations. But repetition without embodiment is like trying to light a candle with a wet match. You're making the motions, but the fire won't catch, because the quantum doesn't listen to your words, it listens to your state. And here's the simplest shift that changes everything. Stop thinking about what you want, and start feeling as if it's already here. Not pretending, not faking. Feeling, even if just for a few seconds. This isn't about tricking the mind, it's about retraining the nervous system. Because if your body has been conditioned to expect disappointment, it won't let the energy of joy stay for long. Unless you rewire the emotional signature it's used to carrying. That rewiring begins with perception. Let me give you a practical way to anchor this. Close your eyes if you're somewhere safe and take a breath. Inhale, hold, exhale slowly. Now imagine not the thing you want, but the you who already lives in that reality. How do they walk? How do they breathe? What's the rhythm of their day? What's the sensation in their chest when they wake up in the morning? Let your body feel that version, not like a fantasy, but like a familiar memory, because in many ways it is. That version already exists in the quantum. You're not inventing it, you're tuning back into it. And now, feel your breath, because breath is more than biology. It's the bridge. The fastest way to shift your vibration isn't thought, it's breath. 3 minutes of intentional breathing can reset your entire field. Here's the process. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8, repeat. Let each cycle be a signal, telling your body, I am safe to receive. This rhythm calms the brain, relaxes the heart, and brings both into coherence. And in that coherence, your field becomes magnetic again. We'll go even deeper into breath and coherence practices in another video. But for now, let this truth settle in. One shift in frequency is more powerful than 10 hours of trying. The field isn't asking you to work harder. It's asking you to tune better. And now that you've felt this shift, even if briefly, you'll start to notice when you fall out of alignment. You'll feel the static, the noise, the emotional pullback to effort and control, and you'll know how to return. Because now you've remembered the signal. Let's continue. We'll explore a metaphor that will change the way you see your reality and yourself. It's simple, it's ancient, and once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. You'll understand that your outer world isn't reacting to your affirmations. It's echoing your internal state. Have you ever stood in front of a mirror and tried to change your reflection without moving your body? Sounds absurd, right? And yet, this is exactly what most of us do in life. We try to force reality to shift while keeping our internal state the same. We want the world to show us something different, but we're still vibrating the same old fear, doubt, unworthiness, or urgency. But here's the truth that most forget. Reality is not reacting, it's reflecting. It doesn't respond to your words. It mirrors your vibration. You might be saying, I'm abundant, but if the frequency underneath is still fear of not having enough, that's what the field hears. That's what the mirror shows. And mirrors don't lie, but minds do. Your mind will tell you, I'm doing the work. I deserve this. I've visualized every day. But your energy might still be carrying the weight of old stories, emotional suppression, hidden guilt, fragmented belief systems passed down through generations. And those frequencies, they ripple outward into your relationships, your finances, your health, your opportunities. Let me give you a grounded example. Imagine walking into a room where someone just had an argument, even if they're silent now. You feel it. There's a tension in the air, right? That's frequency. That's vibration. Now take that same principle and apply it to your life. The things that feel stuck aren't stuck because you're unworthy or broken. They're stuck because the signal hasn't changed. And the signal hasn't changed because the emotion hasn't been processed. Pause now. Breathe. Feel into your body. Is there something you've been trying to push away emotionally just so you can appear high vibe? Because what you suppress doesn't disappear. It gets encoded into your field. And what's encoded gets reflected. But there's beauty in this. Because once you understand that reality is just a mirror, you stop trying to force the reflection. You start focusing on the source, you. Let me put it simply. If you want to change the picture, you don't fix the mirror. You shift the energy behind the lens, and that lens is your dominant frequency, your emotional baseline. If your life keeps reflecting struggle, perhaps it's echoing the identity you're still unconsciously choosing. But here's the invitation. You can choose differently now. Not by effort, but by embodiment. We're not done yet. We'll reveal now the forgotten law, the one that underlies all others. Beyond attraction, beyond vibration, beyond effort. A law that explains why your identity is the true blueprint of your reality, and how shifting who you are changes everything you attract. There's a universal law that governs all manifestation, and yet it remains hidden beneath layers of more popular concepts. You've probably heard about the law of attraction, and maybe even practiced it. Think positive, align your thoughts, raise your vibration. But what no one tells you is that even those practices can fail if the foundation underneath them is cracked. And that foundation is identity. Because the forgotten law, the one that overrides attraction, effort, even belief, is the law of resonant identity. You don't manifest what you want. You don't even manifest what you think. You manifest who you are being, energetically, emotionally, and unconsciously in every moment. This goes far beyond what you do in a meditation session or what you say out loud. It's about your default frequency, the emotional resonance you carry when you're not trying to be anything, when you're just being. Let me give you an image. Imagine your identity as a magnetic field encoded with data. That field sends out a frequency 24/7, even when you're asleep. And the universe, in its perfect neutrality, simply matches what it receives. Not your desires, not your words, but your emitted signal, the silent, emotional code of who you believe yourself to be. Here's where it gets even deeper. If, deep down, you still see yourself as someone who must prove their worth, someone who is always almost there but never quite enough, someone who isn't fully safe to receive, then even your best efforts to manifest will be filtered through that identity. And the quantum field, being literal, responds accordingly. This is why so many people feel stuck in loops. They upgrade their mindset, study manifestation, learn about vibration, but nothing changes long term because they haven't shifted the identity that's emitting the old signal. To step out of this loop, you must stop trying to attract and start becoming. Because when your identity resonates with the reality you desire, you no longer have to chase it. It begins to gravitate toward you naturally. And becoming isn't about pretending or faking it till you make it. It's about remembering and integrating the version of you that already exists in the quantum. The one that doesn't need to strive or convince, because it simply is. Let me offer you 4 powerful identity shifts that realign you with quantum flow. First, shift from seeker to receiver. Stop chasing outcomes and begin cultivating space to allow them. Second, shift from efforter to emitter. Your energy speaks louder than your actions. Let your state do the heavy lifting. Third, shift from control to coherence. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means letting the deeper intelligence of the field organize your reality beyond logic. And finally, shift from victim of circumstance to architect of resonance. This is your field. You don't control the world, but you shape what reaches you by the frequency you hold. Each of these shifts is a doorway, and each doorway leads you further into alignment with who you truly are, beyond programming, beyond fear, beyond resistance. Let's keep going. Because now that you've remembered the power of your identity, it's time to see how this power is often hijacked without you noticing. Now we'll explore how subtle forces, fear, media, distraction, fragment your signal, and how ancient practices of sacred stillness can restore the clarity of your vibration. There's a silent war being waged every day, not against your body, not against your mind, but against your energy. And the most dangerous part is that it's not loud, it's subtle. It creeps in through the background noise of your life, through the constant scroll of your screen, through the fear-based headlines, through the carefully crafted algorithms that feed you distraction disguised as relevance. And over time, without even realizing it, your frequency gets scrambled. You stop trusting your inner compass. You start outsourcing your truth. You begin living in reaction, not resonance. But here's the truth you were never meant to forget. You came into this world with a signal, pure, whole, unbroken. That signal carried the blueprint of who you are, not the person society told you to become, but the frequency of your soul. And every time you betray that signal for acceptance, safety, or control, it gets dimmer, not destroyed, just buried. That's what the Matrix really is. Not a system out there trying to enslave you, but a collective illusion that conditions you to believe you're disconnected from your power. It fragments your attention, hooks into your fears, keeps you oscillating between survival and performance. And the longer you stay in that loop, the harder it becomes to hear your own inner field. But you are not here to perform. You are not here to react. You are here to remember. Let me give you a symbolic image. Imagine your signal as a sacred song, unique only to you. When you're aligned, that song flows freely into the field, harmonizing with life itself. But every distraction, every fear, every unhealed wound adds static to that music. It distorts the melody, and what gets echoed back to you isn't truth, it's distortion. So how do we reclaim that sacred song? We begin in stillness, not silence, stillness. A space where your energy is no longer being pulled in 1,000 directions. A space where your nervous system begins to soften, where you can finally hear what your soul has been whispering all along. Ancient cultures knew the power of this. In the Egyptian mystery schools, initiates were guided into chambers of complete sensory withdrawal to meet the sound of their own frequency. In Eastern practices, the breath was used not just to calm, but to return. And in countless indigenous traditions, sacred solitude was a rite of passage, not to escape the world, but to remember their role in it. Modern life has almost erased this wisdom, but the path back is still open. Right now, if you close your eyes and allow yourself even 60 seconds of stillness, not to fix, not to force, but just to be, you begin to retune. Because what you're seeking isn't outside. It's not a technique. It's not a secret someone else holds. It's a memory that lives in your field, waiting for your return. And here's something most forget. Remembering is more powerful than manifesting. Because when you remember your true frequency, manifestation stops being a pursuit and becomes a byproduct. You're no longer sending mixed signals. You're no longer reacting from fear. You become the coherent field, and reality responds in kind. We're reaching the deeper core now, because we'll begin to integrate everything we've seen so far through one final story. A mirror, a memory, and a truth so simple it's often missed, that everything you're experiencing is not happening to you, but through you. But before we go any further, if you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for walking this far into yourself. Take a moment now. Tell us in the comments. Have you ever gone through something where life mirrored exactly what you didn't want, and later realized it was reflecting something within you? Share your story. Someone reading might need to hear it. And if this message is resonating, be part of this community, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep unfolding these truths together. You're not alone, and this is just the beginning. What if everything you're experiencing isn't happening to you, but through you? Not as punishment, not as reward, but as reflection. This is the moment where we see the universe not as an external force with preferences or plans, but as a mirror, pure, precise, and unapologetically honest. one that simply reflects the frequency you're carrying, whether you're aware of it or not. It's easy to overlook this, especially when life feels chaotic, unfair, or out of your control. But the mirror isn't here to judge you. It's here to show you where your energy is still misaligned with the truth you say you want. And sometimes that truth is hard to face. Because what if the pattern in your relationships isn't about them, but about a part of you still seeking validation you never received? What if the scarcity in your finances isn't the economy, but the frequency of self-worth you're unconsciously broadcasting? What if the stagnation in your path isn't the universe testing you, but your inner field waiting for coherence? Let me offer you a different lens. Imagine reality as a river and your identity as the shape of the vessel you carry into it. If your cup is cracked, wounded, fragmented, afraid, the river can't hold anything. It leaks. But if the vessel is whole, integrated in resonance, the river fills it instantly, effortlessly. You're not here to chase the river. You're here to become the vessel that's ready to hold it. This is why emotional suppression matters so much. Because every time you push down anger, grief, insecurity, or shame, you're not healing. You're just distorting your signal. You're creating a field that says, "I can't handle the truth of me." And the mirror will reflect that. Pause here. Really feel this. What in your current life is reflecting back a version of you you've outgrown, but haven't yet released? Maybe it's a job that no longer fits, a relationship that keeps showing the same wound, a cycle of starting and stopping. Whatever it is, it's not here to punish you. It's here to wake you up. You've seen the signs, you've felt the echo, and now you're ready to respond. Not by controlling the reflection, but by shifting the source. So here's a gentle invitation. Don't ask, "How do I fix this?" Ask, "What part of me is this reflecting, and am I ready to choose something new?" Let your life speak to you, not as noise, but as feedback. Because when you change the signal, the mirror can't help but change with you. Thank you for arriving here. Thank you for staying. Thank you for having the courage to look inward, even when it's easier to blame the external. We still have one more truth to integrate. In the final section of this video, we'll bring all of this together, not with answers, but with an activation, a remembrance, a closing breath that opens a new doorway. All this time, you thought you were here to attract something, to build, achieve, manifest. But what if the real reason you're here is to remember? Not remember in the way we recall a fact, but in the way we return to a frequency, a knowing, a presence that was always there, but got buried under years of survival, comparison, and noise. The truth is, you've never been disconnected from your power, only distracted from it. You've never lost your signal, only forgotten how to tune into it. And that tuning, it doesn't require effort, it requires honesty. The kind of honesty that says, "I've been chasing a version of myself that already lives inside me, and I'm done running." It's not more doing that will unlock your life. It's more being aligned, being coherent, being who you already are when the masks fall away. Because your frequency, when it's undistorted, unfiltered, and unafraid, speaks louder than any vision board. It becomes the field, and the field always responds in kind. So here's what I'll leave you with. Pause, right now, just for a moment. Breathe into the version of you who no longer needs to force anything. Feel them, not imagine, but truly feel, sitting in your body, calm, grounded, enough. That version of you already exists. You don't need to earn it. You just need to embody it. And as you do, not just once, but daily, gently, rhythmically, your outer world begins to shift in response. Not because you forced it, but because you became the signal the universe was already listening for. If this message touched something inside you, say it out loud, let it echo, let it anchor. Maybe your word is sovereignty, maybe it's peace, maybe it's wholeness. Whatever it is It's yours now. And if this video resonated with you, if you felt something shift even subtly, leave a comment below. Tell us what moved in you. Let others feel the power of shared remembrance. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and continue walking this path with us. Because this is just the beginning. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for walking beside us on this journey of truth, remembrance, and embodiment. If this message awakened something in you, don't let it fade. Keep it alive by watching the next video we've prepared for you here on Echoes of the Path. It goes even deeper, and I promise your soul will recognize it. And remember, your energy is a language, and the universe listens.